If I was in a position that I needed a deal right now, I'm going to show you exactly what I would do. Let's dive right in. Real estate as a whole is pretty funny right now because it really is split between the haves and the have-nots. Not necessarily being money, but who has opportunity and whose pipeline is looking pretty dry. I always get a little bit of a kick out of when folks say, is now a great time to invest in real estate? Because once you're full-time, you're investing in real estate, whether the market's going up, down, stagnant, or on fire. You might be a full-time agent or an investor with staff and contractors that you've got to keep busy. Maybe private lenders that are like, hey, my cash is just sitting here. Well, if you need a deal or are looking for one, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would personally do if I was in your shoes. You're likely in a position that you need a deal right now or will be in that position sometime in the future. And that's pretty much the main thing we talk about on this YouTube channel. So be sure to like and subscribe. The first thing that I would do if I was in a position that I needed a deal yesterday is I would reach out to everybody I have ever done business with in the past. I find that a lot of real estate agents and investors look at people almost as houses or transactions and not as human beings, and I think that that's a really big mistake. I was talking to one of my friends recently about reaching out to some folks to let them know he'd recently bought a couple properties, and he pushed back a little bit. He was like, well, I already bought their house. Yeah, but you did what you said they were going to do. So, hey, John and Susan, bought another one around the corner. Hope everything's well. Do you have a different house you'd like to sell or by chance happen to know anybody that's in the market to sell? One thing I've really found to be true in real estate, whether it comes to contractors, private lenders, or even deals, is my best source is past business. If you need a new guy for painting, well, ask your current guy who's doing roofing or other trades. If you need more private money, our best source of private lenders has been our existing private lenders introducing us to other folks. If you need a deal, you should ask for an introduction. You never know who's in their sphere that you don't know. Quick little pro tip, PropStream has this feature called linked properties where you can see all of the properties that are tied to that person's mailing address. So anytime you buy one house from somebody, it's a good idea to look at what else they have and ask if they're interested in selling any of those places too, or listing them if you're an agent. The second thing I would do is work my leads. The least sexy part of real estate is following up with people who chose not to do business with you the first go around. Maybe they expressed interest in an offer, but then you were never able to get them back on the phone. Maybe you even made them an offer and they said that it was too low. In my personal experience, we're converting somewhere between 1 in 11 to 1 in 14 raw leads to deals. That includes like take me off the lists and stuff, which are a decent chunk in there. So anytime I look at somebody's CRM and they've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I was looking at one earlier that had 200. I look at that as like, okay, up to 10% of these have the potential to be deals. So if you've talked to even 10 or 20 people, I would be looking at those leads of, well, where is my potential deal going to come from in here? It's not sexy, but it's super real. I just had a seller recently that verbally accepted my offer. I sent him the contract and he never signed. I ended up personally following up with this gentleman more times than I can count. Well north of 2-3 dozen. Somewhere around the 35th, 40th phone call, he picks up and says, sorry, man, I've been dodging you. I didn't really want to face the facts that I have to sell this place, but resend that contract while we're on the phone and I'll sign it while you wait. Now, I would argue the average agent or investor would have never got that deal because they wouldn't have followed up with that guy that frequently. You might have leads that have told you they weren't interested in your offer, but things have changed. Overall, like seller sentiment, national sentiment around real estate and the economy as a whole is no longer the 2% we can only go up days. We've seen a flood of old leads reaching back out or responding to our reach outs, now interested in doing business, and some of our offers are even declining and they're choosing to accept. The sixth point that I'm going to share is probably the most important to your financial success in 2025, so make sure you stick around for it. The third thing that I would do is look for potential JV opportunities. There are other people in your industry whose livelihood depends on your success. So ask your contractors and crews, hey, do you have any projects that have stalled out, right? Maybe the current owner ran out of capital. Hey, have you seen anything that looks like it might be a good opportunity? Do you know of anybody that's looking to sell? If you bring me a deal, I will pay you a BAC on it, and I'll also give you the listing when I'm done with the remodel so you can eat off this thing twice. Even things like local nursing homes depend on sellers liquidating their properties to afford to be able to move in. When was the last time you reached out and asked or stopped by and dropped off business cards? The fourth thing that I would do is leverage your personal network. It's a little bit different than like the JV side of things. I'm talking outright just, hey, I am looking for blank on your social media, email feeds. Who can you call or text or reach out to? Really shaking the bushes to see what you can find. I know people whose entire business model comes straight from referrals, and I know other people that have never done a single deal off of referrals ever. So if you're not doing any of that, you're missing out. I think the days of being like a secret investor or agent, or like, oh, I don't want to annoy people, are kind of out of the window. You don't have to be annoying about it, but you can throw up a random story or post of like, hey, I'm buying still. What I advise you don't do is offer stupid incentives. I saw an Instagram story recently where somebody was offering to pay $50 if somebody would bring them a lead he hadn't looked at yet. I know investors paying $3,000, even $5,000 if you bring them a deal that they buy. So why would I bring you something for the off chance at $50 when I could get $3,000 to $5,000? The fifth thing that I would do is market as much as I could afford. If I'm on a tight budget, then I'm going to have to put in more time to spend less cash in order to get an opportunity. I've got all kinds of cool stories from folks I've worked with over the years that have driven for dollars, which is basically just driving around your neighborhood looking for houses that look ugly, and literally written them, handwritten letters with a pen that are like, hey, I want to buy your place. Call me if you want to sell. The cost per acquisition on some of that stuff can be dirt cheap, but if you're in that kind of spot of like, I need a deal, well, how bad do you want it? Flip side of this equation, if you've done some deals and you have a large marketing budget and you're not finding stuff on market or through kind of what's typically worked for you, you might consider joining us in CCF. We'll help you build a business that goes direct to seller to find and control your own lead and deal flow. I'll pin a link for more info on that in the comments. The sixth and probably the most crucial point that I can make, if you're in a position that you're like, I need a deal, is to not sell yourself on buying something that you shouldn't buy. If you're having to hope you're going to sell for what the record comp was, and you're trying to downplay what the rehab is going to be, chances are you're going to end up getting hurt on that place. Some of the worst financial decisions when it comes to properties that I've bought have come from those times where it had been a little bit slower and I wanted to keep the lenders or the crews busy. Seventh, and just a bonus for you here, because I titled this video the 6 things that I would do if I was in your spot, is it's going to take more work and more effort than you're probably assuming when you're watching this video. I had somebody reach out and they're like, hey man, I've been busting my rear. I've been sending tons and tons of direct mail. I'm not getting anything. Then when we got into the actual numbers, it was like they'd sent $500 worth of mail. Well, if my typical cost per acquisition is $3,000, I'm like, bro, you got to keep that up for 6+ months before you expect to get anything. So why are you giving up in month 2, 2.5? My name is Ryan Dossey, and I want to personally thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. We're really putting quite a bit of effort into the YouTube channel here, so any questions you have, I will personally answer them. Just drop them in the comments below. My goal with this channel is to be the resource that I was looking for when I first started, so I can help you get from kind of where you're at to where you'd like to go. Talk to you next time.